With us, so this morning we'll be discussing the lessons we've learned from the past elections that happened on Saturday. Lots of things have happened so far. We've had new third force. People are excited the fact that many people wanted young people to come out. If you remember, for months and years, people were discussing youth involvement in politics. There's been a lot of campaigns to get young people to get their PVCs. And we could see the numbers from what we've seen, that young people came out en masse and voted for their own candidate. Even the president-elect recently said that, I know you didn't vote for me, but I will still work with you. So young people's involvement, I'd like us to discuss that. What are your thoughts on the fact that young people came out? They defied everything. They left school. They came home. Parents ensured that their kids came out to vote in communities. What are your thoughts on the fact that young people are finally being aware, they're being politically aware of the society and want to participate in elections? What are your thoughts on this? I'd like to... I want to start.
Okay. Yeah, so yesterday, actually, that was my stance about youth involvement in this particular election. And I've heard many people, I mentioned it yesterday, I've heard many people say it was a religious-leaning election, it was about ethnicity, and I totally disagree, because youths from different ethnicity, from different tribes, different religions, came out and cast their vote for who they believe was the right person that represented them, you know. And for me, it's lesson learned for all of us. One, for all of us as the electorate, that it is our responsibility how the election is finally done. It's our responsibility to see to it that when we cast our vote, we're there to watch it being counted, we're there to see it being transmitted, and youth stood up and did that. Then, lesson learned for politicians. It is not the same old.
We'll come to that in a minute. Let's go back to we'll come to the lessons learned from the politician, because that I think is huge and humongous. Exactly. But let me start with you, BC. What are your thoughts on in your own polling? Did you see young people come out? Were you excited to see young people, or was it still old people that came out in your own area?
Not at all. This is the very first election I'm witnessing in Nigeria where a lot of young people paid attention. We were scared initially when they started this BBN, that this one that they've started now. Our young people will just leave that one and focus. This was the first time I was seeing young people watch TV, different TV. They're going from one channel to the other to get the news, to hear what has happened and all that. And it was quite enlightening. Even political conversations were had in my house with my kids. And they were giving me their views. I'm like, okay, how old are you again? At your age, I didn't even know my left from my right, you know. So I saw a lot of young people come out to vote for who they feel represented them, like Miriam said. They came out with their hearts. They were excited about the participation. There were conversations had. It seemed like a lot more young people are enlightened about what they want as a people. You hear people saying that our suffer we don't suffer enough, we want to change, you know. The conversation was quite rich, but I feel that we could still do more. I feel that young people did not wake up early. There were also a lot of young people who were not able to get their PVCs. There were also a lot of young people who, even though they had their PVCs, did not vote because they felt their vote will not count. There were still a lot that we need to do. And also, young people should, what I see is a lot of them stood from the top. We had not mastered the art of going to the grassroots. That is where the work is. We need to learn now and start from the grassroots.
I like that, because I mean, I was really excited about this election, because my blood has been moving for the last few days, because it's exciting to see the numbers. I love the numbers in Lagos. I love the fact that it was very competitive. You know, you could see the fact that the ruling party in Lagos realized, this is not the usual, you know, and that for me is democracy. The excitement is that democracy is playing out. What are your thoughts in your own area? How are young people, did they come out en masse?
It was business as usual in my area. You talk about how voting goes in my own area. I voted, say, 4 to 5 times now in that same polling unit. And it's the same pattern. So they came out as usual, and you'd see people just crowding areas. And the results that came out were predictable from my end of
Yes.
They were predictable. We had no surprises. The only thing was, you know, whether the entire Lagos system was ready for this. So I got a shock when I found out that Ali Mosho you know, Labour Party won Alimosho. It's never happened. Alimosho has always, you know, is the largest local government when it comes to numbers. And it's always been an APC-dominated local government. So this, for me, is a wake-up call. Since you paused Miriam, I wanted to wait, because that's where I'm going. The people of Lagos cannot continue to be... They can't have two class. You can't have that wide gap between the leadership and the people of Lagos.
On the ground.
That disconnect. Because I felt the pulse of people around me, and they were like, usually in my own end of Lagos, in Amodof, you would say it's an Igbo-dominated area. And so you say, you expect the Igbos to have an agenda. They'll come out and they'll vote that agenda. But when you ask the Yoruba people, say, they don't used to talk to us now. When they enter finish now, they don't used to see us. They don't used to come outside now. You know, people add that emotions flying. And so that disconnect cannot continue.
Yeah, we'll come to that a bit later, because I want to also take it step by step, because there's so many parts of it. There's another angle I'd like us to touch on, the thuggery and intimidation. You know, I've seen that in the past, because the educated elites and the youths have never really been involved in politics. So when the politicians send out their thugs and they're intimidating and snatching ballot boxes here and there, we don't really care. They bicker for a few days and they move on. But now we're involved and we're saying, is this how people are doing it? No, it's not going to happen. This election, you cannot continue your thuggery system where you send out this, because you fail to do the work of politicking, which is to appeal to people's consciousness to vote for you. That's the hard work. But the easiest one is to send a thug and scatter everywhere. But now, from this, we have learned you can't do that anymore. And because in the past, we never paid attention, what are your thoughts on the fact that people in some communities, maybe like, not just Lagos, across the country, some politicians, thugs came out and did and caused violence here and there. So what are your thoughts on the fact that politicians must get this as a wake-up call? The fact that some of you used to use your neighborhood political thugs to scatter ballots, that system cannot work anymore.
So this for me, this credit for that must be given to the present government, President Muhammadu Buhari's government. So in one of the polling units where it was reported that there was thuggery, somebody called the military and they came to establish sanity. It didn't used to be business as usual where the police are working in tandem with the thugs. So they would turn their backs. It wasn't like that. The military in Kogi State shot one of the ballot box snatchers. So we have reports like that, and you must give that to the president, who was not a president. We have one president in the past who, when he was president, his party didn't lose any state. And any way they won was allowed. In President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, whether you like or credit him or not, you cannot deny that every election he left it to the people. Every state under election per state that ran under him, he did not get involved. And you saw the independence of the courts in the electoral tribunals, and at the result of at the end of the day, he doesn't want to know how it is done. And when he promised security, he gave security. The military were out, and anybody, no matter the side you're from, found one thing. So they were the ones who established, who instituted sanity. Yes, in the past, thugs were outdo the people. So you don't have arms, but a thug is ready to die. They will come and do anyhow, you know.
So,
but
let me come to you, ladies. I mean, do you think because the elites and the youth were involved in this election, that's why they're a bit shocked at the amount of intimidation that people went through? Because in the past, we didn't really care. But now we're concerned that this happened in some places, and some people were disenfranchised. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't think that Nigerians are unaware of thuggery that's happened during elections. You've just, maybe a lot of people have not been part of it. So you see it on TV, you hear your neighbors who have gone out to vote to come back and tell you. You would even see physical evidence of that happening. But in my own view, this time it wasn't as widespread as it used to be. And for a couple of people who let me know that this happened in their area, they said to me that the military came in and restored sanity. So it looks like, you know, this credit, as Nima said, is really to the administration of, you know, our current president, which is he was very adamant in setting proper procedures on ground to make sure that people's votes counted. That was a free, fair, and violence-free election. So it was not totally violent-free, but it also looked like it did not escalate into something worse, you know. And people who these things happen to, in the areas that it happened to, they still have a voice. They still even have channels for redress, you know.
So what are your thoughts on the thuggery and intimidation?
I think the only difference now is social media. So people were in their polling units, they were able to take videos of the violence happening. And so before you know it, just get into social media and you're seeing it's happening in this polling unit. You're even seeing faces. The videos were showing faces of people who were threatening people, you know. It was just widespread, you know, and people would be calling loved ones, where are you? Hope your area is safe, and all of that. I witnessed a bit of that violence in my polling units. The talks came. All of us scampered.
You serious?
And then they were still, and then we gathered ourselves as young people and said, these people are few. We can hold them down. Are they with weapons? We're looking around. Are they with weapons? Let's see how we can hold them down. And I was on my trainers ready to hold anybody down. Worst case, they injure me. But it will be unfair not to mention people who were victims of this violence that happened. So we know that in some areas, they had to call in the army to come and restore peace. They did in my polling unit before we realized that the army came and then the talks were taken away, you know. But there was a woman all over social media who had to hold on to her ballot box, and she had this injury. You know, this is somebody who came out and she still insisted on voting with the blood. So we must look into all of these things. And I feel that the government can do more, because most of those video evidences are out there. So I should be hearing like there's more arrest. Anybody who has, you know, sent in talks should be questioned right now. We cannot just gloss over and feel like it didn't happen. It happened, and the government must sit on it.
If you had must also give credit. Just this morning, Adodogowa, the House of Reps majority leader, was arrested and remanded in court, and he's facing trial for electoral violence and possible complicity in the murder of 3 people. So we had arrests.
So what it shows, Nima, that politicians in the past have always done this and gotten away with it. They tried that they could do it again. But this time around, we have video evidences, we have pictures, we can actually, there's going to be a follow-up and prosecution to this.
In past elections, we had video evidences.
Yeah.
So I was going to say that social media actually is not this election.
There's a leadership direction on this.
Exactly.
And we must give that credit.
Yes.
Arrests were made.
Yes.
People were charged. You had INEC officers arrested, videos picking them, and, you know, INEC, you know, arraigning them.
Yes.
We have that because the leadership is not going to continue business as usual. He said he's going to give free and fair election, and to his best abilities, he's doing that. But, you know, when we are enraged and we're emotional as Nigerians, we like to take credit away. One of the persons I engaged at the polling units, I said, can we just be separate from our emotions?
Compartmentalize the issues.
I put things factual. This president has ensured that we have this, we are enjoying.
We have a redress.
The only problem I had in my area is that, okay, I've always had to vote in Ojo because there was no polling unit within my estate at the time. Unknown to me, 3 were added during these elections, whatever.
Make it easy for you.
To make it, and people, we didn't know. Most people didn't know. Only a few people know, and only those few people just, you know, arranged it. There was no publicity enough. It took me, because I wasn't feeling, I had to drive. I didn't trek this time around. I drove, and I found one. I found another one. I was like, So I know the numbers now where I can change.
We're still discussing lessons learned from the elections. You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. We'd like to hear from our viewers. After all, it's your view. Let's hear your thoughts. And on this, there's been a word that has been used since Saturday, flawed elections. We've seen it. Even I read The Economist this morning. Congratulations to the president-elect on the flawed. You know, that's the word they've been brandishing around. But what if somebody was telling, a friend of mine, Mr. Gabriel Irewele, was saying that what is not flawed in Nigeria? Let us even talk to ourselves. NNPC getting distributions of fuel is flawed. Monetary policy came, ordinary to implement and to ensure Nigerians have cash. Everybody celebrated monetary policy, but they were still flawed. Ordinary trying to even plan an event in this country is usually flawed. That we are still a developing nation. There won't be perfect elections for a long time. Things would happen. But in this situation, people are now saying this is totally, completely flawed and should be cancelled. Do you agree? Do you think the whole thing should have been cancelled, as some of the parties are insisting and demanding for?
I completely disagree that it should have been cancelled. These elections cost us over 300 billion. What are we saying? We printed about 93,000 ballot papers, only 93 million ballot papers, only about 25 million voters. So what is going to happen to the cost of executive director of Yaga Africa was talking yesterday, and he was talking about the numbers and the wastage. I've wasted about 200 million. Now, in a process like this, there are legitimate structures. There's rule of law. There's the way it was created. So that's why we have an Electoral Act to guide us on how elections go. And so some aggrieved parties now, in between collation, call on the INEC chairperson to stop collating because they are aggrieved. Whereas the process has put in measures where such grievances will be addressed. He has a statutory duty he must complete. And you say, no, don't follow law. You know, I've never on this table supported help yourself. You must go through the process. If you have a grievance, sue the person. If you have anything, go to court.
But this Nigerian mentality of, let us just scatter ground. That's direct.
Even a former president who has been a military and a civilian president 2 times, whose own era had the most flawed kind of elections, read a letter asking an INEC officer to go outside the Electoral Act and stop a process. I don't understand. So we cannot say because it was flawed, it should have been cancelled. Every election, we continue to improve. We started with card readers. We've gone to beavers. We are trying to improve. Are we giving ourselves the years of growth, or we want to just miraculously become America, where even they have a system that Trump is contesting now, saying they had the flawed elections? So there's no perfect system anywhere. Follow the rule of law.
So thank you for that, because we're saying there's no perfect system. It was flawed. You know, when Nigerians say they want democracy, I always tell myself, are you sure you want democracy? Because democracy is painstakingly achieved. You don't get it by a flip of a switch. Oh, this thing, there was rule, let's cancel the whole thing, let us scatter it. Because that's what we're hearing all these other parties were saying. But in your view, let me come to you, Mariam and BC, should they have cancelled it, as has been asked?
I don't think it should be cancelled, but I also need that we all accept that it came with some flaws.
Yes.
And there were some discrepancies, you know, in different places. People have said that, people are even arguing whether it was transfer or transmission of their votes. Oh, I thought it was meant to be immediately transmitted, you know, but people are saying, no, it's meant to be transferred. You take, Nima was explaining to us yesterday, said you take a screenshot of it, and as it's done, you send it. But a lot of, you know, people thought it would just be transmitted as you're putting it in at your polling unit, it will be electronically transmitted. So that is also a question that, you know, it has to be explained to us legally. There are also people who are alleging that what they saw at the final collation does not tally with what they were. After all, this is my polling unit. How come it does not tally? Some people are alleging that we saw figures for my polling unit for another state altogether. But I do not think that violence is the way to go. I don't think scattering is the way to go. There is a process, a legal process, and that is now where our judiciary needs to sit up. We cannot have a weak judiciary. We cannot have a judiciary that cannot stand for justice for the people. And I believe that we will see a lot of these cases during this period. And I'm sure that those who, you know, I'm believing, I'm trusting that our judiciary will give justice to those who deserve it.
Listen, do you think there's an issue of mistrust or distrust of the system? So people say, if this thing gets to court, so they are the ones in the government, so they would definitely influence the judgment. So we don't want it to get to court at all. Do you think that could have been the reason why people are demanding, let us scatter it here and not even go forward?
There's always been a mistrust of government from time immemorial, you know, and that's why they say as leaders, you must be careful so that your good is not evil spoken of. You must do your best within what is in your power to ensure that at least when it's presented to all sides, it will seem very transparent and everybody will say, okay, this person tried. And I know it's not a walk in the park. Nigeria is still a baby, let me use the word. We are still going through different processes. But you need to understand that we are multifaceted in this country. We have so many ethnic groups, so many different ideologies. You must ensure as a leader that you are able to, you know, sort of, would I use the word satisfy now? Appeal to different groups for them to see that I am standing on this, so I'm screaming this, so this is the way to go. And if it goes wrong, I'm coming for this. So, because we had about 4 years to prepare for these very elections. And the beavers were so excited about the beavers. Oh, finally, a form of technology, blah, 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 blah. We have young people who are in different universities who are tech gurus. Those who have graduated building their own companies. Why didn't you find a way to get them involved in this? You know, no matter how much of a professor you are, at some point you would have missed out some things. Technology keeps updating, and that's why you need young minds to keep giving you the current trend that would help you. So I think INEC should have done more in terms of preparation, because it now seems like after all the money we have spent, you didn't really prepare for the election, and you will not blame Nigerians for mistrusting it.
So you're very correct. So it's as if INEC overpromised and under-delivered. So you are making us happy that, now we have electronic display of the results. We're pretty excited. IREV was supposed to be that. But now you're not taking it. It was so difficult for IREV for people to upload to IREV. And that now got people really anticipated and wondering, are these people going to alter? But you see, I'm happy about the data, because I have a boss that used to say, data is life. When the numbers come out, we can begin to read. And those are saying, oh, I would have won, I would have lost. Let the numbers come. The numbers don't lie. It will tell you, okay, yes, these XYZ were disenfranchised. Let us dash these votes to this party. Will they become president? Will these people that said that they won, if this hadn't happened, would they become winners? These are the numbers, these are data, information that data gives you. And I'm hoping that we can have those smart guys from the university. Let us become the crunch the numbers. Now that we have some numbers out there, let's begin to analyze them. Let's analyze them and see what could have happened or couldn't have happened. But there's another thing I'd like us to talk about. The other parties are asking for INEC not to use the NURTW, especially because they've always been helpful in helping with the logistics and getting material from the collation centers to the various polling units. Now they're asking us to use private companies because they're having issues with trust. I saw some rickety buses driving into Magodo, and I'm thinking, are these the buses? Very, very rickety-looking buses. And I thought, why didn't they even use proper the lag buses or something that was decent? I'm not sure what happened, but that would have been said that was compromised. So what can we do as regards logistics? What can INEC do? What are your thoughts? Should INEC engage private companies, especially for logistics, or should they continue to use the NURTW that they've used always in Lagos?
I don't think they used NURTW at this.
They didn't use NURTW. I think because there was an issue in court.
So the alternative question that you were asking has been explored already.
Yes.
So they've already explored alternatives, and they've seen the cost effect of it. Whatever works for INEC, INEC should use. And
maybe my own idea is maybe it's a bit far in the future, because I had someone who was saying that because of the violence that happened in his area, his wife is saying she may never, she may not come out to vote for the next one. I know we're talking, and I said that I hope that we are also exploring the fact, we saw in America they had votes by mail. I hope that someday we get to do that. We are able to sit in our homes and send our votes, so that there's no, at least there will be no physical committee.
Exactly. So. We have comments on social media. Let's start looking for comments. And I also like us to talk about the third force.
So they are looking at us being able, there will be no PVCs for the next elections, because I've been following reports of post-election assessment. And they said, come 2027, your ID card and Beaver's capture will just show your records, and
that's it.
You don't have to be using PVC anymore. Progressing.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that no electoral process anywhere is clear-cut.
Yeah.
You progress, you perfect in time.
So I want to talk about the third force, and I've been one of those proponents, especially even during the 2019 elections. I've said, listen, we need options. Nigerians need options. And I love the fact that there were options in these elections. And I like the fact that the ruling parties realized that you must do more to appeal to people's consciences. You also must do more to show what you're doing so that people can actually continue to vote for you, because it's not a walk in the park like it used to be anymore. So what are your thoughts on this third force? The Labour Party have come. In fact, some are saying that the next 4 years election is likely going to be between APC and Labour, because they have come. And the hero of this has been Peterobi. He has been the man that branched out of PDP and been able to pull a huge number of young people and not just young people, other educated elites to vote for him. So he also can be described as one of the heroes of our democracy, because he's somebody that's been able to galvanize and awaken a new wave of voters. What are your thoughts on Peterobi? Let's discuss him for a minute.
Okay, I think this just shows that if you are in the seat of power, you will not do as you like anymore. you would take the pains of the people very personal.
Yeah.
Because your word is no longer law. People are there paying attention. People are there to vote you out any moment. People are there to hold you accountable to what you have promised. And so it shows me like a new Nigeria is building, where people are now saying, we want somebody who is able to give us what we want, who is able to lift us up as a country, who is able to put our name in the global map for positivity. And if you cannot deliver, we will get you out. This is also showing us that power now does not belong to the political heads. Yes. Power belongs to the people, and the people need to rise up and take their power. It's us. It's the young. They always been singing this song. The future generation, the youth are the future generation. This is the future. We have now come to the future. Leaders of, thank you, my sister. We have now come to that same tomorrow. And so this would help people who have, gotten to that position to know that, okay, I will not just do anyhow and get away with it. People are watching, people are observing, and they will call me out.
You see, another thing, I'll come to you, Mariam, now, because people have put that mentality in young people that, boy, it's a revolution you need. Sometimes it's not all about revolution, because a new Nigeria is a process. It's about negotiation. It's about collaboration. It's about understanding. It's about participation. So some people just think, let's scatter everything, let them show them. Sometimes it's not about that. It's about having this person come out to confidently say, you know what, I am leaving this party and I'm starting a new movement. And he probably, initially people criticized this guy, what was he talking about? But now he got support. So in itself, that is part of the growth of our democracy, don't you think, Mariam?
Yeah, definitely. It's really about a sometimes very slow growth process. And for me, the candidacy of peterobi and in the LP has a lot to do still with the youths, because the youths just finally realized, they have to step in. In the very beginning, you're right, there were people who thought, he's left PDP. That's, any other party, there's no chance that you would make it, you make it anywhere. In fact, there were some politicians and people who have always looked at elections over the years who were so certain that, this means nothing. But everyone has been surprised, but except the youth. I don't think the youth were surprised. They knew exactly. And that's the thing. And I feel that for Mr. Obi, this would be, the support he got will be humbling. Because yes, I'm one man and this is my stance, but it was really the youth that pushed him, and made him an important part of these elections. They spoke about, he didn't really, a lot of people would say he didn't have a structure, and a lot of us believe that structure had to do with party offices in different states, but we now realize the structure is the people.
Simple.
All you have to do is have people anywhere, and they will speak for you, they will vote for you, they would campaign for you, and you may not have physical structures everywhere, but they are there.
Yeah.
And for
the
me,
structure is in the mind,
yes,
the ideology.
Are the people. And so for politicians going forward, in their campaigns going forward, it's not enough to go and meet just in one town hall and call your usual cronies. You will do door to door. You will face the people. You will talk to them. You will meet in their different smaller communities. The conversation you're saying that some people say they don't talk to us, you will now know how important that person on the street is, and you speak to that person.
Because, we're going to talk about Lagos State election, because so much money and everybody's doing these, they want to do the campaigning, they're using the regular format. The regular system they've been using to go dancing and doing rallies and screaming, all the rallies, all the dancing, all the merchandising. You saw the result in Lagos. So sometimes it's not about all those paraphernalia of the campaigns. It's about you, the candidate, doing the streets, knocking on the doors. That's the real campaign of the people. And that's what Nigerians are demanding now going forward.
I have seen door-to-door. I experienced door-to-door in 2007. When was Fashola first term of governorship? And then in my area in Mobadore in Igondo, we had people knock on our door, sit with us, and introduce the candidates. Nobody prior to that knew who he was. And I remember my dad saying, all of you just go and vote for this person. Yes. And I was saying, I don't know him. So I've experienced door-to-door, but we don't see it anymore. What we see is 1 million markets.
Advantage, yes.
That election, I remember, the reason I went out to even cast the vote was because somebody came in and explained why, and the possibility of a progressive happening, a progressive growth happening in Lagos. Yes. They had come at that time to do some mappings in Obadore, saying they wanted to do a housing estate. in Lagos and all of that, pie and all of that mapping happened. And somebody came in. The person was also running for Ward C. I think that was what he was running for under the Gondo LCDA then. And he came and he talked to us about it. But what did we see now? We don't see anything. We see hate on social media. We see, people, all of that happening. And then some people just marching without PVCs.
I'm telling you.
Where are the march?
I'm telling you, thank you.
You people march tire. Where is it?
Thank you.
So we didn't see that happen. And it's disheartening, but I hope that Nigerians know better now.
Yes. And I hope that the political class too are able to read, go back and have proper meetings and discuss.
People want information. Yeah. And what I don't like is the inobjectivity. So I would listen to you, but tell me something that I can hold on to. Don't give me sentiments. Don't tell me where when it's your turn or when it's not your turn. When I don't want to hear that. Yes. Tell me facts about the person that I can hold on to. Everything I held on to. I remember when Fashola became governor, when I was on the show, I would attack him and say, where is it? It was supposed to be this and this and this and this arrangement, and it didn't happen. And he would answer, but you don't see leaders wanting to answer anymore. Right. People are running and shying away. Exactly.
So I think this also feedback that you must speak to Nigerians. That way you not do debates and you cannot talk to them. And because we have, people they are confident in the structure that is on ground. Realize, forgetting that.
No longer somebody wants to come and queue up at your gate as an elected officer.
That time has passed.
You must have the
that time, that train, politicians, if you're listening to us this morning, that train has gone. That ship has sailed. You must do the work. As the president-elect was saying, that I'm not going to be a leader, I'm going to be a servant. You must start serving now, going forward. You must really serve.
So I'm going to come back to what we want to see. Okay. But let me take some tweets.
Please.
Okay. So Festus Akimboyewa says, there must be a huge investment in broadband penetration if we want technology to work well for elections. Yeah. This incoming government should partner with the private sector to develop our broadband infrastructure. Until then, Beavers IRF will not work as expected. All hail the Beavers. If you look at how sitting governors who want to go to Senate lost, how PMB lost Katsina, how Tinubu himself lost Lagos, and all of that, any objective person will realize that this is the most credible election in our history.
I agree.
We must celebrate our progress.
Yes. Fantastic. I like that. Let's talk about how Labour Party can leverage on this new power. I mean, this for me is a huge win for the Labour Party, and you must consolidate on these numbers. You cannot go to sleep because many of them were downcast. Oh no, we lost. But this is a fortune. The numbers you're looking at is a fortune. How do they build on that leverage, especially in the coming election? What can they do? Because you don't want to make them. You don't want Labour Party followers to feel that they've lost and it's over. The game is not over.
Okay, when I coach people, I always teach them that failure is feedback. I don't believe in the concept of failure personally, and that has helped me to launch into things. And when the failure comes, I take it as a feedback, a redirection to the right moves I'm supposed to be making, and I pick the lessons from everything that happens to me. And I want Labour Party to pick a lesson from this. There were aspects of Nigeria that they did not cover. This is the time to build that bridge. It's very important. You cannot get to a certain height in the country without going grassroots into some certain areas, especially like the North. They need a proper coverage in the North. This is also feedback that they need to take back. And I don't want them to feel downcast, I'm not voting again, and this and that. This is just the beginning of that democracy that we are working towards. If we tick all the boxes, we check all, cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and see what next we're going to get and where we're going to get. And we keep hoping. Since I was young, I particularly studied political science, but I just hated politics for whatever reason. I just went through that course in the university just to pass and go and do my acting. That was where my mind was. But this election has opened my eyes that we can no longer sit on the sidelines. We need to start making that move. And every young person who has come out under Labour Party, please do not go back and say, I'm not voting again. You will be doing yourself a great injustice. This is the time to pick up from the lessons you have learned and start working towards it, please.
What do you think? How does Labour leverage on this?
Okay, so for me, I'm looking at this and thinking that this might very well be the beginning of ideological politics in Nigeria.
Possibly. Hallelujah to that.
Yes,
Hallelujah.
yes, because the people that LP is attracting young, people who want something different from what has always been there, people who feel that, you know, that we need to do things differently. Yes, and then we're talking about people who are more exposed, who are educated. We can put elite because I think it's actually more widespread than that. So, you know, there's something that politicians do where they are cross-carpeting up and down, and I feel that LP needs to be careful the sort of alliances it makes in the future. They cannot make the